Hello and welcome to San Francisco Indie Film Festival. My name is Ian Bignell and I'm from Festival Formula. We're helping the festival at the moment to do some Q&As with our lovely filmmakers. So hence why I don't have an American accent and have a UK accent instead. We are joined today by Megan from Night Drive. And her film definitely is a bit of a right field film once you get into it, because on the face of it, it is a night drive. You're going along in the car at night time, driving along with an interesting relationship between two kind of mismatched characters. But as it unfolds, we are presented with, well, a bit of a crazy storyline, which turns out to be quite exciting towards the end. So welcome, Megan.
Thank you.
And I'm glad that you're here. First of all, well done on making an excellent, excellent film. So before we get into the nuts and bolts of what your film's about, I mean, I'd like to know where the origins come from, because of the actual story, because I know you wrote the script as well, because it kind of straddles a few different genres of sci-fi, time travel, and just, I guess, almost like a buddy relationship or anti-buddy relationship, maybe.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
I'm wondering where that all came from.
Well, first of all, I used to have a car, but I eventually sold it, and so I started taking ride shares all the time. And that, after taking hundreds and hundreds of rides, I sort of figured I should mine that for some kind of creative pursuit. So when my creative partner Brad suggested we come up with a concept for AJ and Sophie, who he had worked with on a previous film,
Mm.
it seemed like the perfect, pretty contained kind of setup for it. Um, as far as uh, the kind of buddy road trip relationship, I just kind of drew on making sort of more exaggerated versions of AJ and Sophie. Not that Sophie is a a diabolical person in real life or anything, but just tried to kind of pull from their strengths and their own personalities, and in order to develop the characters. And as far as kind of the different tones and elements of genre, Brad and I both come from really different backgrounds as far as the stuff we like. He likes horror, and I really like classic movies, but it both kind of overlaps for us with like the Coen brothers. And
Mm.
so I think Coen brothers have a good meshing of high and low in a lot of their movies, and that was kind of what we were going for with this.
Like a kind of like almost hidden in plain sight kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think for me, I was drawn to it because obviously you got these characters that are so different from each other, and they're starting to become friends, and then one pushes the other away, and it's kind of like a big old game of tennis in terms of the relationship stakes.
Yeah.
I think their chemistry comes through really well on screen. That kind of like you can tell they're enjoying it outside of the characters they're playing
Mhm.
it. Was it like that on set, or were they really kind of like, I've been around you far too much, I need my space for 5 minutes?
I mean, at the end, we were in a car a lot together, and it got a little. We all got on each other's nerves a little bit, but thankfully, since they had worked on a film together prior to it, actually, AJ played her dad in the movie.
Sure.
Uh, but it was nice that they already had a rapport, and that Brad and I and the two of them already had a rapport, and so there was a lot of sort of shorthand, and we were all really comfortable with each other. And the two of them are both really sort of playful people in real life anyway, so it was pretty chill and laid back, and everybody really enjoyed each other's company.
Yeah. I think also testament to your screenwriting as well, because when you have two characters and you're focused almost solely on them for the whole entire film, it means your script has got to be right. It's got to be lean. There's got to be no fat. And I think you did a really good job at holding that together and making sure that it doesn't get too boring, and it doesn't focus on them too much. So I think you did a really good job with that. But they certainly came off the screen beautifully, and I guess they had to because they were the main hook of your film.
Yeah.
Um, I think the other thing as well, which I was really struck by, was the fact that it was almost exclusively shot at night time.
Yeah.
And did that present any challenges to you in terms of getting enough light into the scenes, that kind of thing?
Yeah. Well, we shot with the Red Gemini, which is really good for low light situations. That was really partially
Mhm.
why we went with that camera. But actually, a lot of the driving stuff we did with rear projection. And so, for some of those scenes we were able to do during the day on a stage, we actually did a couple sort of test runs to figure out exactly what the best sort of setup for that was.
Mhm.
And Brad shot the movie actually, and he went out and shot plates all around LA and everything, and we were able to kind of rig up our own rear projection sort of thing. And I think it plays really well. I mean, it's funny, a while ago I was watching Dazed and Confused, which has a lot of scenes in the car. And if you really pay attention, they're definitely they're not even doing rear projection in that movie. They just have sort of like one overhead light that like occasionally passes, but everything in the windows behind them is just totally black, and you don't even really think about that as being on a set or stage or anything. And so I think our rear projection stuff works really well, but we did spend a lot of time in the car and shooting at night. Especially on the ranch, that was one of the trickiest kind of locations because it was super windy and rainy that when we were there. And so we had a pretty skeleton crew as far as our grip and gaff department. So we were all kind of hunkered down in this weird little cabin on the ranch, waiting for the wind to die down in order to set up our lights again.
Mhm.
Um, but you just kind of you get on that nighttime schedule and you just kind of roll with it. And I mean, it's called Night Drive, so we kind of just had to
Yeah, yeah.
push through.
I mean, it literally, I mean, it does exactly what it says on the tin, but it was something that I know can be quite challenging to
Yeah, sure.
the light into the camera and making sure that you're getting enough detail into your shots. So I wondered if you had some tricks up your sleeve for doing that. How did the locals? I mean, because you were in some residential areas, how did the locals find your exclusive nighttime shooting?
Well, we did a lot of kind of run and gun, just in and out kind of stuff. We did get a few sort of looky loos walking by. Um, but for the most part, everybody was pretty cool. I mean, I guess that's one of the pluses about shooting in LA is everybody's just kind of used to seeing
Hmm.
productions and stuff like that, and they don't really, pay it too much attention, which
Yeah.
definitely worked in our favor. I mean, the one shot that we got that we really had to steal. It was outside of a hardware store, and it was like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and we had like a steady cam and our two actors, and then there were a couple of us and our sound guy, and we were really trying to get this one steady cam shot in the parking lot, and hoping that a cop wouldn't drive by because it was on like a pretty major street. And thankfully we were able to get it, but it was pretty hairy there for a while.
Yeah, I can imagine. I also, we just spoke about the fact there was two people through the majority of your film as well. I'm also just thinking out loud right now. You actually had like a large stretch where you had a dead body in the back of on the back seat of the car. Was
Yeah.
that actually the actor the whole time, or was that just having to lie motionless the whole time, or was that like some mannequin you found somewhere? Or
No, that was really him.
oh,
Um,
nice.
yeah, I mean, we only had him for a couple days actually. He lives in Georgia.
Mm,
So we shot as much with him as possible and a lot of inserts and everything.
mm.
Um, but yeah, I mean, it was pretty funny because the first day that he was on set, it was really just him in the back seat. And so he probably had the best first day of anybody because he just got to chill the whole time.
Nailed it. Also, it has to be said as well, you're driving around in a Porsche, so it has to be kind of fun for like
Yeah,
some of the.
it was pretty comfortable. Yeah.
Yeah, I can think of worse things to be saying, like some like beat up thing from 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Um, and so let's go on to the time travel elements because it kind of comes out of the blue on the third act. So I'm watching your film. I watch obviously a lot of films in my job. I'm sitting there watching, and in the meat of your film, in the second act, and I'm going, I think there's a time travel element, but I don't know because it's almost like the character of Charlotte is holding so much in terms of she's so confident in these kind of brash actions. You go, well, you have to be accountable for something at some point, unless you've got a rabbit in the hat somewhere.
Mhm.
And obviously you've got that kind of like almost MacGuffin box in terms of what's inside the box, what's
Sure.
going on. So I'm kind of sitting there watching it. I kind of did like a mini fist pump when I was like, it went to time travel, because I was a bit like, okay, this is actually getting really interesting now because it's spicing up the plot. Did you have anything in mind? Did you see anything from sci-fi films that, obviously you could say Back to the Future, but without the 2.1 gigawatts. But I think was there any inspirations for that side of the story? Because obviously that's a very unique place.
Well, it's funny when Brad and I were kind of breaking the story down when we were trying to figure out what was in the box. He said, "What about a time machine?" And my mind immediately went to Napoleon Dynamite, where there's just this like shitty fake time machine that they bought off the internet, which looks like a polo stick, and I think it like electrocutes somebody. And so my first reaction was just like, "Absolutely not! That's a terrible idea." But then when I thought about it, I was like, "Oh no, this definitely adds a cool and unexpected level to the story."
Mm,
As far as the rules of time travel, we didn't get too uh, deep into creating rules. I think we wanted to keep it pretty
mm,
straightforward. Um, as far as the look of the time travel, the with the colorful lights and everything, I really took a lot of inspiration from James Turrell, who's this kind of light-based artist. And there's this I don't even know what you call it, experience that he had that I did at a museum once, called a perceptual cell, where you basically get like put into this like egg-shaped space. You're laying down and you just lay there, and it's totally white inside, and there's all these like flashing lights, and you kind of lose all depth perception because you're
mm.
just like inside the lights. And so that was sort of like what we were inspired by as far as the visuals of the lights and everything. But we also wanted it to be um the actual machine to be kind of low tech and older, like it had been kicking around for a while.
Yeah.
um and yeah, that was just kind of what we went with.
I kind of liked it because it was almost like, not steampunk, but you know what I mean? It was almost like this kind of very mechanical machine. And I like the fact that the watch was slightly shitty, like an old Casio watch,
Yeah.
like that you could store one song on it and listen to it or something like it. So I kind of liked that element of it. It kind of made me remind, I mean, we're talking about time travel. It kind of reminded me a little bit of like, it's a different type of time travel, but the butterfly effect in terms of like things have consequences, and when you go back and things might be different next time round. Or maybe on a more lighter note, because obviously there's some comedic elements, maybe like Hot Tub Time Machine on wheels. So.
Yeah.
But it was certainly fun. So I want to talk a little bit about Charlotte, because I think there's a lot of mysteries to this character. So she goes and steals said item, said time machine from said boyfriend,
Mhm.
right at the beginning of the film, and it kind of makes a kind of time travel web. I'm kind of thinking like there
Okay.
are people complicit in this. How
Yes.
big do you think this web is, or do you think it's quite a small web when you're writing the story? Did you think it was just between those two characters, or is it actually like an extended world where people are just fighting for this time travel watch?
Yeah, we were thinking it was probably, a group of like 10 to 20
Mm,
people who um had access to this. And also there was something kind of compelling about the idea that, with a lot of technology, the longer it's around, the more kind of I don't know, banal uses people take from it. You think about cell phones and computers and everything, and now we use them for just like the dumbest, the dumbest stuff imaginable. When things were first, invented, it's like, oh, we need this computer so we can get a spaceship up into the sky. And now everybody's making memes with it. And so just the idea that somebody would have this technology in order to time travel, and instead of like killing Hitler or stopping 9/11 or something like that, they're like, I'm just gonna go to Las Vegas and try to win at craps, and then, or I'm gonna kill my eighth grade math teacher, or whatever. And there's something that's, I think, kind of playful about that, where instead of trying to achieve these wonderful time travel things, like, oh, if I could go back in time I would fix this, it's more like, nah, let me, I've always wanted to fly on the Concorde. So I'll just take the time machine back to, 1992 and do the Concorde and then just come back.
mm. I kind of like feel that she's having fun with it, but I also kind of feel like she's a bit of a victim because
Mm,
it's almost like now she knows about it. Like she's doing what probably most people would do if they had time travel, which is they will just spend their time fucking around, basically going back in time to and maybe changing their life. But it's almost like I wonder how many times she's been through this. She alludes that it's not her first, of course, and it's
yeah.
probably a long list. But it's almost like I feel the message you're bringing across is that each time she's doing it, she's almost fracturing her own soul a little bit.
Yeah. There's definitely kind of like a level of decay and sort of downgrading a little bit every time she does it. It sort of like takes a little piece out of her, you know.
Yeah. I don't think she's always thought it through though, because I look at her character going, you're very complicit on the fact that like you're with this whole world that you're holding together and keeping secret.
Yeah.
Um, I find it quite interesting because I think basically it's all based on the fact that she doesn't get arrested. Because
Hmm.
of course, if she gets arrested at any point and she can't go back,
Yeah, she's screwed.
what she's screwed. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like her frivolousness of doing all this time travel is actually at some point it's going to catch up with her. She's
Hmm.
going to have a trip that isn't smooth. So it is again kind of alluding to the fact that she is a victim of this.
Hmm.
Like the watch is in charge of her rather than the other way around.
Yeah.
Another thought I had as well is who do you think made said time machine?
Um, I mean, probably some, well-meaning scientist in like the 60s or the 70s or the 80s, and then it was ended up being taken over by uh, probably like the 1985 Elon Musk or somebody like that, who just decided to turn it into more of a recreational thing than anything else.
Yeah, yeah. I was pondering. I was thinking who would do this. I was just like, I actually quite like the fact that there isn't anyone there, but it always makes you wonder like the origins of every story and every
Yeah.
like rabbit hole you can jump down.
Yeah.
Also, I think Russell was the character of Russell AJ Boden, who's one of the producers as well on the film.
Yeah.
He was really excellent throughout it because he's the moral compass of this film. He's the one he just wants a quiet evening and he wants to just get on with his life. And all of a sudden, Charlotte is that person stopping that from happening. So how I mean, I guess he had a blast kind of acting as like this moral compass dad style character. Was that the case? Did he really get into it and have like was he allowed to sort of think outside the box and add little elements to his characterization?
Yeah, I mean, I think he and just in his a lot of his past roles, he plays a lot of he's in a lot of horror movies and genre films, and so he's not able to really do a lot of comedic stuff. So
Mm,
he definitely had a lot of fun with that. But as far as dialogue and everything, there wasn't really a lot of improv, which wasn't that we discouraged it. It's just that neither of them um, really they both really seemed to dig the dialogue and the script and everything, and just kind of stuck with what was on the page.
mm,
um but yeah, AJ had a lot of fun. He you know was able to kind of tap into a more playful side, and again, like you said, the sort of like everyman, uh he's kind of the eyes for the audience,
mm.
and he did just a really good job just grounding the story, I think, in reality, and having to deal with crazy Charlotte all the time.
Crazy Charlotte. Always crazy Charlotte. So here's a question I like asking all filmmakers because it makes them just take a step back and go,
Okay.
which is what is your favorite moment from the film?
Oh, um I think it's the last shot, actually. I think it's well, let me just ask you, this is playing like after people watch the movie, right? They're not going to watch it
Yeah,
before.
yeah, yeah. Well, I hope so. Otherwise, they're gonna have a really boring screening.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's the last shot. I think Russell realizing that he got away with it, and he can fix all of his perceived problems in his life, and sort of like the first time that you get drunk or you do a drug or something, you know, you're never going to get that first high back again. And so, you know, he'll always be sort of chasing the dragon, you know, after this one time, but just this feeling that he got away with it and he thinks he's on easy street and everything's going to be great. You know, I think just the way that he plays it on his face, this kind of smug relief, it really, you know, I think kind of encapsulates the whole night for him. And I really loved AJ's last moment there.
Yeah, I think the memory that always sticks in my mind, I watched it a couple of weeks ago, but it's always the moment that sticks in my mind is that moment towards the end where they stop at the stoplight, and then he pulls the gun, and you're like, I was actually I predicted it about 1 second before it happened, but I was a bit kind of like, what are they doing? Why is the
Uh-huh.
camera lingering so long? What's this isn't interesting. What are you about to show me? And then all of a sudden everything kind of like went into my own time travel moment.
Hmm.
And I was like in the car and I was like, oh, this totally makes sense. Because from a character point of view, this is the moment he takes control. He's
Mhm.
had enough of the night. He's had enough of everything. And this is the moment where, you know, he's dwelling on that past that you're talking about. He wants that break. He wants his wife back. He wants
Yeah.
his company back, and maybe the Porsche just isn't enough anymore. But I think that he that moment's a real nice moment because he's got to that moment. It's like, I've had enough, Charlotte. This is done now. We're
Mhm.
moving on, and now I'm taking control of it. And actually, maybe secretly she's just some sort of secret martyr. Maybe their lives, you know, their paths cross in
Mm,
the near future. Who knows?
sure.
Because everything resets once more. But I thought that was a really nice moment because it just kind of comes out of nowhere.
Mm.
So yeah, a really nice moment. So we're talking about the circuit in general now. So this is a 2019 production, top of my
Yeah.
head. So you managed to get this all in the can before the world blew up and stopped
Yeah.
with COVID. So you've obviously dodged a bullet there because your production would have taken even longer to make
That's right.
if it wasn't for the health implications that are now involved with
Yeah.
shooting at the moment. So I imagine you haven't not been affected though, because you've obviously been on the circuit
Mm.
and still on the circuit. How have you found that as a filmmaker? Just, you know, without naming names, if it's been bad in points, but how have you found that, like negotiating the circuit in COVID times?
Um, well, part of it's been kind of a bummer because the festivals that we've gone into, it would have been great to be to be able to go to, uh,
Mm,
you know, in order to support the film. And you know, I really feel for all these festivals because you know they're trying to do streaming and everything and make it as fun or engaging for the filmmakers as possible. Like with this film festival, they did this filmmaker feud thing on Zoom, which was pretty fun, which
mm,
of course would have been way more fun in person and meeting all the filmmakers and everything like that. So I think there is something that's really kind of a bummer about missing out on those connections in person with other filmmakers and with you know people at the festival. It's definitely you know it's hard to put your face on your film when people are just watching it or streaming it online. You know,
yeah, yeah.
um,
I
and
think,
yo, go ahead.
you know, I think that you're right. I think that we look after a lot of films in our company, speak to a lot of festivals as well, and it's hard, that networking opportunity that's been taken away. Like, it kind of still exists, but you know, on a Zoom call, it's one at a time.
Yeah.
So I mean, it makes it so much more complicated. But it's hard. I think some people in the early days didn't quite get it right. But I think we kind of have a new norm, or a new temporary norm
Mhm.
for film festivals, which seems to be working okay. But it's it has been a really complicated landscape,
Yeah.
which is still shifting. I mean, we've seen the return of drive-in cinemas and
Mhm.
all sorts of stuff now. So, but I still think this kind of virtual element will still stay though. And I think, like, before it used to be a Q&A, and a Q&A would be like, I'd have to personally, me, I'd have to be in San Francisco right now.
Mhm.
You would have to be there for
Right.
us to have a Q&A. And now that you know, we can have a Q&A anywhere around the world and still have those opportunities so people can still speak to you. Hopefully we can get that vaccine out there and we can go back to normal times. It's almost a year to the day that I was last in a physical film festival at Clermont-Ferrand. So I literally can't remember festivals anymore and hugging people and getting drunk and everything
or being
else.
in a theater period, you know.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you know, I managed to get into a theatre during the summer in the open cinemas in the UK for a little bit. I saw Tenet.
Wow.
And I kind of wish I didn't see Tenet now, but I've done it.
You need the time machine for that.
Yeah, exactly. And everything's in reverse and the dialogue's a bit hard to understand, but everything else is fine. but it's a weird world. It is a weird world. But I am kind of proud of the film industry as well. Filmmakers and festivals alike, they've both looked out for each other. It's a two-way street. Yeah. And it shows you how resilient, like, you know, the film industry is, because film has survived through wars, now a pandemic, and it finds a way. It always finds a way. How have you kept yourself busy in the pandemic?
I, as sort of my day job, I'm an editor, and Brad, my partner, and I do a lot of stuff for Marvel and Disney Plus and Lucasfilm. So we actually had a show on Disney Plus called Disney Gallery, which is like a kind of behind the scenes thing about the Mandalorian. Which so we did. We're actually finishing up season 1 when the pandemic hit, and then we did season 2, sort of. It was a shortened version. And then we're also doing a couple things for Marvel for Disney Plus. So I've been editing a like a WandaVision behind the scenes kind of special that's going to air once WandaVision has finished up in, I guess, February.
I have totally fallen in love with the first couple of episodes of WandaVision.
Yeah, it's really charming.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I like that kind of bewitched world, and like it kind of just, it's such a familiar, happy place. And to be honest with you, like I just want happy places at the moment. My life is built around trying to find nice films to watch and playing Animal Crossing. So I don't want my life to be any more complicated than it has to be. So sure. I look forward to seeing that on there. Well, thank you so much for spending time with us and talking about your film.
Thank you.
What is next for the film, by the way? Is there anything next? Is it any other festivals you can talk about?
We're going to be at the Magnolia Independent Film Festival, which is also in February. That's in Mississippi. And other than that, that's it for right now. We've submitted to some other stuff, but we're still waiting to hear back. And yeah, just plugging away.
Yeah, that's all you got to do at the moment.
Yep.
Well, again, thank you for your time. Thank you for being so brutally honest all the way through this with your film. And hopefully our paths cross and we can have a beer for realsies in America or somewhere at a film festival and actually network properly.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Megan.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Thanks. Bye.